I went to McMaster University and I did my master's in science and occupational therapy. Honestly, my passion for pediatrics has always been there, but every day I come to work, it grows every single day. And every time I meet a kid, my mood goes up, and I come home at the end of the day being like, guess what my little friend got to do today, or what goals he achieved today. When I did graduate, I had kind of two thoughts and two different areas of practice that I wanted to go into, and having a placement in pediatrics, especially at Lansdowne, really just confirmed this is where I want to be, and this is where I want my career to go, and this is what makes me happiest.
I went to Laurie Nipissing in Brantford for my Bachelor of Arts and Bachelor of Education, and then I have my Master's in Applied Disability Studies with a focus in Applied Behavior Analysis at Brock. While I'm from the area, so before I was commuting to work, I wanted somewhere closer to home with a good work-life balance. I've always heard positive things about Lansdowne from anyone who's worked here previously. So.
I think Lansdowne's really unique in that there's so many different programs all housed under the same roof. So there's, speech pathology, there's physical therapy, occupational therapy, there's the autism program, social work, resource consultants that go into the daycare, so many different programs that all work in close proximity. So that means that it allows us to serve clients really holistically, which is important when we're seeing children who might have a variety of needs.
Which is one of the cool things about Lansdowne is that it's very kind of client specific, so no matter what service they need, you'll be working as a team, whether it be with SLP, OT, social work, which I think is kind of the best outcome for that client.
Day one, I remember as a new grad being terrified. But luckily I had my interview at Lansdowne and it was in person, so I was able to walk into the building, see the facility, and meet some of the staff members. And I remember feeling welcomed, I felt safe. And my interview was just like a conversation. It wasn't intimidating, it wasn't scary, and that's when I thought I could see myself here ultimately in the future.
So my first job out of school was as an independent contractor speech therapist. So as a new grad, that was challenging because I didn't have as much access to resources or colleagues to ask questions to or observe. So when there was a job posting for Lansdowne, that was really appealing to me, was having colleagues and coming into a center and having access to the toys and the resources, and just a supportive team was really important as a new grad.
I don't feel scared to ask anyone questions because everyone's so nice and friendly, and yeah, no, the whole orientation process is the best I've had. Yeah, and I'm not just saying that.
It took me from a little OT student who was just nervous about everything and unsure about herself to really filling in those shoes of becoming an OT and directing, where my career was going to go, but also really kind of going with the flow of where my passion was.
I just think it's so important, especially when you're starting out as a new grad, to have that close mentorship. With our profession, it's mandatory to have a mentorship once you graduate, but that doesn't necessarily mean you have someone mentoring you from nearby. But at Lansdowne, I was fortunate because I had someone who, her desk was a few desks down from mine, and she was always available and there for me to ask questions to. And I felt like I had a lot of support that way.
You don't expect me to work with a client tomorrow kind of thing. So it was really nice. There's a lot of ease into it and constant reassurance with my manager and my coworkers. They're like, oh, are you finding everything okay? Everyone's so friendly and nice. So that's one huge thing I've noticed different between other places I've worked is that.
So especially because I came from placements within my degree, I was able to compare Lansdowne to a hospital setting or a private practice setting, for example. And I just remember Lansdowne specifically, the mentorship that they offer here was something that really drew me here. I felt like if I was somewhere else, I would have been thrown into things as a new grad, whereas here the mentorship was something that stood out because I didn't have just one mentor, I had multiple mentors.
Mentorship is so important, and I find that here we have a good foundation. There's always someone around to help you with something, to answer questions. And I also find that you know, you don't really have to hunt for opportunities. They're always kind of given to you, or someone's always looking out for opportunities. I find that Carolyn does do a good job. She's our manager, and she does do a good job in, you know, either signing us up for things or offering opportunities to us.
One huge thing is the professional development. Like I've only been here 3 weeks. I've already done 2 courses to help with my job here, which I was so surprised, because I've been, you know, told about courses at other jobs, and then they're like, yeah, they're X amount of money, and it's like, oh, I can't really afford to do that right now.
I would have to say, in comparison to other treatment centers that I've worked at, I've done 2 so far, and I've only been here for 6 months, which is quite awesome.
I had a short period where I was covering a mat leave on one of our HITS teams, and that was really, really influential, I think, to how I do my job today. Each client, it was different who took the team. I think it was what that client's primary need was at the time. So if it was speech, then I would be the lead. If it was OT, then OT would be the lead. But it was just a really nice, I think it gave me a really big picture view of my role in the client's life and the client's life and their journey in general, and that it's not just what happens in speech therapy, but how we all come together to help support the client so they can participate in day-to-day life. And that's more what it's about than what, as a new grad, I think you're so focused on what happens in the speech therapy room, but I think being on the HITS team really helped me see all the different facets and areas of the client's life.
I think the thing that stands out to me the most at Lansdowne is its flexibility. I find that Lansdowne is really flexible when it comes to your schedules. I did have a bit of that in Thunder Bay, but here I find that Lansdowne is quite accommodating, especially when it comes to those with families. They're very understanding when things arise, your kids get sick.
I really appreciate the flexibility with my current schedule, especially I've got an 18-month-old at home, so sometimes it's very necessary to have that flexibility, and I think I especially appreciate that now.
I think it's really amazing that you can walk the hallways and say hello to everybody. If you don't know a face, somebody is going to introduce themselves, or you're going to introduce yourself, so that there's no strangers walking around, and it's so welcoming and just so lovely to walk into the building every day.
It's such a great feeling to come into work knowing that you're going to love who you're working with, and that, you know, you love what you're doing. And I love the families as well too. So it's kind of like that puzzle piece where everything's just fitting together really well. So
the team feel, I think because Lansdowne is a bit of a smaller children's treatment center, it has that like family team feel, and it's not just even within the speech department. I just felt how easy it was to walk over to OT and talk to an OT, and walk over to physio and talk to a PT. So just that.
I do remember my first day, but well, because of the pandemic and everything, my interviews were all via Zoom. So I was really excited to actually like come in for the first day. And I was just like, I was surprised how big it was. Like, it's a pretty big center for a children's center, in my opinion.
So I grew up west of London in a really small town called West Lauren, and then I moved to literally downtown Toronto for my undergrad in psychology, and then I ended up here for my master's. So it's a nice in-between.
A message I would like to say to a new grad would just be confident in yourself. It can be scary navigating everything as a new grad, from finishing your placements, finishing your degree, finding interviews, going to your interviews. You might feel like you don't know it all or you don't have it together, but really you do. You know more than you think you know, and just be confident in yourself, be confident in your skills, and you'll be surprised where that takes you.